All right, so a few days ago, I saw the new Marvel movie, Eternals. And you know, this movie, I haven't read any reviews or watched any reviews, but I've seen a lot of headlines where this movie has pretty much been getting a bad rap. I saw the movie and I have my own thoughts and I want to talk about it. Welcome back to the DL Jones Show. I'm your host, DL Jones. And before we get started talking about about Eternals, my experience with the Eternals, I want to tell you, right now up in my community section on this channel, I have a poll going up and that lists my top 5 MCU movies, my favorite top 5 MCU movies so far. And it's a poll. So why don't you check that out? I'll put a link in the description for you to check that out. And if you disagree, let me know what your top 5 are. I'm curious to see what everybody else think. I'm not going to spoil it here. So go ahead and go to that link in the description or in the pinned comment below. Check out my top 5. Tell me if you agree, disagree, and list your top 5. All right, so the Eternals is a comic I'm not too familiar with. Mostly what I know about the Eternals is what I've learned since they announced the movie. And when I did do a little research on it, I kind of thought, how in the world are they going to make a movie off of these characters? For one thing, you have all of these actors, all of these characters in this movie, and I'm like, that's too many people to keep up with in one movie. But basically, if you look at the IMDb, the synopsis says, a saga of the Eternals, a race of immortal beings who live on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations. Don't really tell you a whole lot. And most people that's not familiar with the Eternals, that synopsis probably wouldn't help you at all. I'm going to go over what the movie is about, the basic gist of the movie in a little bit to make that a little more clear, to let you know what you're getting into if you haven't already seen this movie. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, so you don't have to worry about me spoiling anything. I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts in a way that hopefully won't give away too much stuff, you know, when you go and check it out for yourself. This movie stars a whole lot of people. We got Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Selma Hayek, Kit Harington, Kumail Nanjiani, Don Lee, which I know him. I've just recently been made familiar with him through a couple of Korean movies I watched last year. A lot of people in this movie. It's kind of a lot of star power in this movie. It's kind of funny that you got Robb Stark and Jon Snow, the actors that played those characters in the Game of Thrones series. They're both in this movie, which is kind of funny. And it's kind of delightful to see them two on screen together again, even though they didn't share a lot of screen time beyond the beginning of that series. I don't know if they shared any screen time since the beginning of that series, the first season. The Eternals. So what was this movie about? Okay, so the whole synopsis of the Eternals. Now, this part I'm taking from the comics, okay? So the whole synopsis of the Eternals is that you have these beings. They're called Celestials. They're like gods or something. They existed at the beginning of time. And what they did was they would go to every planet and they would create these Eternals, which are just superpowered beings. And they're there to protect the planet from another set of beings called the Deviants, which are similar to Eternals, but they're kind of flawed. They look like monsters and stuff like that. Way back, even before the Eternals was created, the Celestials were at war with another race of godlike creatures, beings. That other race of beings are the ones that created the Deviants. I may have this all wrong, but this is basically the gist of the background of the whole Celestials and Eternals and how they relate to each other. All right, so that's how this movie starts, is that they're selecting the Eternals to be the ones that's going to protect Earth, you know, and it starts just like the beginning of time. Now, this movie kind of goes throughout a whole different eras of time frames throughout the movie, but they're basically done in almost sort of like flashbacks. The whole movie isn't just going through that time frame. The whole movie takes place in present day, but to give you background on different things that's going on and their journey and how they got to that point. Every once in a while, they would jump back to a certain time in history and show whatever happened in that particular time, just to give you a background. And that's how they did the thing where they was like, they're going to go across all different time frames. I know when I saw the trailers and was reading about and watching little interviews and stuff on the show, they always talked about how it expanded across throughout the whole history of the world and all of that. And I used to always think, how are they going to do that in one movie? But they did it. And the way they did it, I think kind of worked. The movie was kind of long, but I didn't feel like it was too long and I didn't feel like it was boring or anything. I felt like they did it in a way where where you can know what's going on and you can understand how they came to the point where they are and everything like that. But sometime throughout history, they got rid of all the deviants. So their job was pretty much over with as far as protecting Earth from the deviants. They got rid of them all like years and years, thousands of years ago, but they still were ordered to stay on Earth, but just live their life as regular people. So they spent like, I want to say 7,000 years just living as regular people amongst everybody else, you know. But this movie starts off where somehow the deviants are showing up again. So they have to assemble and try to figure out what's going on, and then you find out a bunch of secrets and everything like that. That's basically what this movie is about. Just got a group of people that lived throughout years that was placed on this Earth at the beginning of time, or the beginning of Earth, to protect the Earth from another race of beings. And now those race of beings appear again, and they have to figure out why, and they have a problem they have to solve. And of course, you know, at the end of the movie, they have the big battle. It's funny because I've seen a lot of headlines. You know, I haven't read or watched any reviews, but I've seen a lot of headlines, and I've seen the headlines that say that this is the lowest rated MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes. I've seen the YouTube titles saying that this movie was a bomb and this is a bad movie and all of this stuff. And I don't get it, because I like the movie. And I don't see where all of this bomb talk and I don't see where that come from in this movie. I had fun with this movie. I enjoyed this movie. And maybe after I finish recording this video, I'll check out what some of those other people are complaining about, or what the faults that they're finding with this movie. And maybe I can agree or disagree. But as of right now, I don't see any way that this movie could be considered a bad movie. I really enjoyed the movie. I would say, for me, for my enjoyment level, I would say it's a good movie. I liked it. You know, I liked it. I'll watch it again. Even though it was pretty long, I'll watch it again. I had fun with it. I won't say it's my favorite Marvel movie, but I enjoyed it. You know, I liked it. You know, I had a lot of fun with it. I feel like it's worth a watch. If you're a Marvel fan, I feel like it's worth a watch. It has a little bit of a different feel than all the other movies. Like I was saying, it does kind of catalog the whole history of these Eternals, of these characters. And you get to see them in different eras of time, before BC, AC, AD, and all of this kind of stuff. Then they plant a lot of seeds in this movie too, to try to seem like they can use those seeds that they plant, little things that they talk about and do within this movie. It seemed like they can use those things in further movies to bring about other storylines and other characters and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty interesting. Now, there were some good things about the movie. I feel like the action was pretty good. It wasn't like an action-packed movie, but there was a decent amount of set pieces, fight scenes and stuff like that, mostly with them fighting the deviant characters, which were just like monsters, you know, some kind of monsters, faceless looking monsters. And from what I knew about the comics, each one of the Eternals pretty much had the same powers, the same power set. But in this movie, each one seemed to have different power sets. You know, they kind of differentiated each character from their power set, their main thing. Like you had the person that can run fast. You had the person that can turn stone into wood. You had the Superman type character that flies around and shoot the laser beams out of his eyes. I mean, each character, each one of the Eternals had their own specific ability they focused on. I don't know if they all had the same ability and those were just their favorites in the movie, but from what I understand in the comics, they all pretty much got the same abilities. Then you had some conflict with some of them. Some of them fell in love with each other. Some of them had issues where others had to help them out, like mental issues and stuff like that. I mean, they tried to frame them as if they were just regular. I mean, of course, they're Eternals. They're like some kind of superpowered beings that's been here forever, immortals and stuff. But they all had their own issues. They all had their own problems and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It made them feel more like, I guess you can't look at them as real people when they're flying around shooting laser beams out their eyes, but it made them feel more like they had real problems, real world problems beyond just being superheroes, you know. I know I went into this movie fully expecting, because I know I saw the headlines and stuff, and went into this movie fully expecting it to be like a slog of a movie, because I knew it was long, and I thought I was going to be in there, and I thought it was going to feel long and it was going to be boring, but that wasn't the case. I mean, I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. You know, I liked the movie. You know, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I would say just don't pay attention to all of the other reviews or headlines about it being a bad movie, and just go see it for yourself and find out for yourself. There were a couple of surprises at the very end of the movie, the end credit scenes. It was 2 end credit scenes at the end, so make sure you stay to the end if you care about that kind of stuff. The very last one is the one that kind of left a little speculation at the end, which when I got home, I had to do a little research to find out what that meant. I may do a video on that. I haven't done videos on that kind of stuff, like end credit scenes and stuff like that, but I might do one. Sometimes you do things a little bit different. It was pretty good to see Brian, what's his name? The guy from Atlanta, the black guy. It was pretty good to see him in there, you know, doing the little hand thing, magic and all of that kind of stuff. And it was pretty good seeing both of the Game of Thrones brothers in a movie. You know, it was like the first scene I saw with those two kind of was in the same scene and they were talking to each other. I kind of was like, oh, they're back. They finally get to see each other, because I don't think in Game of Thrones, they were in the first season together, but Jon Snow left and went away, and I don't think he ever saw Robb Stark again for the whole rest of that whole series. And I was like, well, this is like the first time they saw each other again. I was thinking about this. It kind of reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, I kind of had a similar feeling that I had after I watched Guardians of the Galaxy the first time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this movie was as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, but you know how Guardians of the Galaxy kind of had a different feel. You know what I'm saying? It felt different than other Marvel movies, you know, and that's how this one did. It went in different place. It went to different places. It had different types of storylines, and it just had a different feel than, say, the Avengers and Iron Man and stuff like that. So it kind of I had like a similar feeling after I left this movie as I had with Guardians of the Galaxy, except I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was excellent. I didn't think this movie was excellent, but that's pretty much all I got to say about the Eternals. I'm surprised that I liked it, because I was kind of expecting it to be bad. I kind of felt like it's no way they can make a decent movie with that many characters. And then when I did the little research on the history of the Eternals, I'm like, how can you make a movie about this? It seems like there's too much to make one movie, and it seems like there's not enough to make a movie that would be interesting, you know. But yeah, it turned out to be interesting for me. I liked it. It was pretty good. So make sure you check the link in the description below or in the pinned comment. Check out my poll, top 5 MCU movies. Let me know what your top 5 is. Maybe I'll talk about it. You know, maybe I'll make a video later on talking about what people said about that. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. While you're here, why don't you check out that video right there? Or maybe that one right there. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that little picture of my image there and subscribe to my channel.